4, 3, 2.
Hi, this is Coach World TV. I'm Laurie Lawson, and tonight my guest is Mary O'Rafferty. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Laurie.
I have to tell you, Mary's here from Ireland. She's the president of ICF-Ireland, and we could not be more thrilled to have you here. So welcome. And,
Thank you.
And actually, in truthfulness, she did not come exactly just to do the show. She's on a vacation of sorts, so I'm so glad that you took a bit of time out of your vacation schedule to come and tell people all about coaching in Ireland. So I want to get started. Tell me I want to find out what coaching is like in Ireland, but tell me what got you into the field of coaching.
Well, it's actually quite a long time ago now. My former job was to be director of training and development, particularly in the area of leadership development, in an organization that primarily was aimed at the public sector, so government, healthcare people, that sort of arena. And in designing leadership programs, I really became very aware that trying to do a one-size-fits-all in terms of training programs, I just felt we weren't hitting the mark, and that
you were doing groups of people.
Yes, exactly.
Groups, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So there might be 15 people, maybe 20 people at max in a training program that might be going on over maybe a 3-day module, then a break, and then another 3-day module. Mm-hmm. So I really had heard about this idea of coaching and the idea of doing some one-on-one work. So I felt it was really important to add those on to the training program. So that was my first introduction, and that was, gosh, we're 2013 now, so almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
When I started doing
coaching was a real baby. I think it was a baby. I'm always amazed that people became a coach before I did, which was 2004. It's like, really? I thought it was my idea, but it isn't. I realize there are other people out there, yes.
Yeah.
But still, that's a long time, 10 years.
It was quite a long time ago, and our biggest challenge then was to persuade buyers of coaching that it was worth their, buyers of programs, of training programs, that it was really worth their while to add on individual coaching as part of the program.
Sort of to invest in the individual? Is that, yeah.
Exactly.
As opposed to the group. I mean, invest in the group, but I can certainly see where individual coaching would be an asset. Did they?
Well, you see, across the public sector, because money is so tight, they found it better or more acceptable, or they could sell it more easily if they aimed things at a group of people, because they then felt they weren't picking out individuals and giving them special treatment, because that would be like a value across the public sector. Yeah. But bit by bit, you kind of get hold of 1 or 2 people who maybe are willing to listen to you, and they're willing to try it out. And once you've tried it out once or twice, then other people hear about it, and suddenly they want that as well. So it was kind of creeping in a little bit by the back door.
Yeah, and I think it stands to bolster the coaching theme, which is changing the world one person at a time.
Exactly.
We're not doing big things, one person at a time. So good, yeah. So that was pretty innovative of you. Now, when did you know you were a coach, or did you say, okay, I'm just going to add this in? And
well, there was one other angle as well, and that is when I spent 7 years living in New York at a time in my life between 90 and 97. And during that time, I was very fortunate to be working for a not-for-profit organization that was very innovative in a lot of the work that they did. And one of the, I suppose you could call it, I mean, people call them personality instruments. I'm not sure I agree with that term, but it was use of a questionnaire to find out a little bit more about yourself. Okay. And the instrument I was using was called the Berkman, which many people may not have heard about, but I would encourage you to go out and figure out more about it. It is a wonderful instrument. So I had always been using that with individuals as well, and it actually just really lends itself to coaching.
Oh, is it B-U-R-K?
B-I-R-K.
Berkman,
B-I-R-K-M-A-N. And
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, and what's wonderful about it is that it looks, what makes it different, I think, from other questionnaires is that it looks at what is the operating environment that is going to be best for you. So what set of circumstances is going to be best for you in terms of type of authority, type of structure, type of freedom that you're allowed to do your job, things like that. But it also looks at, so it looks at what you need, it looks at what you're good at, but the third thing is, that's quite unusual, it looks at your stressors, things that stress you.
Oh.
So you can see how that would be very easily
definitely.
connected in with coaching as well. So that was an added, I suppose, pathway for me into coaching.
Okay.
But all of that time when I was doing that work, I myself had not received formal accreditation or training. So around 2004, same time as you, Laurie.
Isn't that funny?
I attended a year-long program to formalize, I suppose, what a lot of the information that I had already. And that was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed that. It wasn't an ICF accredited program, I have to say.
What? No.
That came later.
Yes.
When I truly realized the benefits of ICF. But it was a very, very good program, and it in fact was quite an intense one. There was a lot of written papers. There was a huge amount of coaching triad work, where we were coaching each other, and that was being monitored and written up as journals. And in fact, there was a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
So it was. I believed it was a really good program.
And I think you told me it was UK based, not
That's
Ireland.
correct.
Right.
Yes.
And we all know that UK has been, I don't want to say ahead of us, but boy, running neck and neck with coaching, and in some cases more advanced, I think. So it's not surprising. So you actually, it sounds like what happened was, and I have a theory that coaching calls them at once, and it sounds like the road was just getting paved for you, and it's like, okay, and here I am at a coaching school now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just, sometimes there's a readiness there, and the readiness was just perfect. And there weren't that many opportunities at that time in Ireland for coaching to attend in a coaching program. So there were people, the coaching academy came over from the UK to Ireland to really try to corner some of the market. And I was amongst the first people, that first cohort of people who went through that program.
Amazing, and I'm joking because ICF was an international. I think it may have even started out as an international organization, but the emphasis was always on the United States until a couple of years ago, and then it's like, wow, look at all these countries out here. So to say that it wasn't ICF accredited is not unusual in 2004.
Absolutely,
there were many American-based coaching schools that weren't accredited.
Yes.
Either. Now everybody sees the benefit, but then everybody was starting out, and they did what they did.
But I was also, I think, very lucky insofar as I think a year later, I attended an ICF conference that was held in Brussels in Belgium, and I went there with a friend of mine who is Belgium, and we were trying to figure out a way for both of us to meet up, and we both had this interest in coaching and
do something a little productive. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we attended that ICF coaching conference in Brussels in Belgium, and it was fantastic. It was a really wonderful conference, lots and lots of different people presenting with lots of different ideas. And as a result of that conference, I really wasn't aware at the time that it was an ICF conference. It was just, to me, a coaching conference. But out of that, I then decided I wanted to become a member of ICF. So I was able to do that because I had more than 60 hours training behind me, but at the same time I wasn't accredited. So I had always intended to become accredited.
That's a goal.
Yes, but that took a few more years.
Well, absolutely, but I think that's one of the, and I've always said, the most fun with the conferences were the connections that you made and the camaraderie, and you could get a little education on the side, maybe, but that was definitely so good for you. Now, having been a president of ICF New York City, I want to ask you, what on earth made you become president of ICF-Ireland?
Well, again, I really believe that things happen at certain times in your life. And, I was still working full-time as director of leadership and management in this organization aimed at public sector organizations. And I had a big team it was a big budget I had to bring in every year. And whilst I loved my coaching and I tried to get doing as much of it as I could, I never had time for my accreditation. So in 2009, I had an opportunity to step back from that role, and that's what I did. And I talk about it and I explain to people that I got out of jail free because I was actually it didn't affect any of my pension rights or anything like that. So I decided I was going to fly solo. And about the same time, ICF-Ireland was beginning to come together in terms of being a more formal organization. There always had been members, but perhaps not coming together as a formal organization. And a year or two earlier, the first ICF approved training program.
Oh.
What do they call it? The ACTP, the approved,
I think so.
the approved coaching training program
Yes.
had started in Ireland. And as a result of that, there was a cohort of people who were really energetic around wanting to make ICF Ireland a very vibrant organization. So I was able to join that group in terms of it, having a lot of energy around it. And then I decided, okay, you've no excuses anymore, Mary. You better get your act together and become accredited, because I really, really believe that you can do a lot of really good work, with your training behind you as a coach, but you come up to another level once you become serious about accreditation. It just lifts you to that next level, which I think is critically important for the profession of coaching.
I agree. I think, and it's interesting that you said that you started out in a non-accredited program, which I'm sure has probably been accredited by now or working on it. But
yes.
So many people were, when first of all, everybody became a coach suddenly when it was the hot word. I actually got something from someone who said they were a hair coach. It's like, okay, whatever. It's like everybody, coach was the hot word. But everybody was hanging out shingles. And we have a place here where you can do weekend trainings or 3-hour trainings. And it was like, become a coach in 3 hours. And it's like, you know what, if that's your training, that's the kind of coach you're going to get. So good. It's good that, I agree. I think people are suddenly realizing it needs some sort of accreditation, some validation, something that says there are some ethics and standards going on here.
Exactly.
And we're not just, taking people's money and saying, okay, ask open-ended questions, you're a coach, whatever it is.
There is a certain responsibility on your shoulders, I think, once you offer that service to people. And that having, gone through that next step of accreditation, it really hones your skills and focuses you in on what's really important. And
you did it.
I did it. And I'd love to tell you about how I did it.
Oh, please. Yes.
Yeah, because I think that, again, this is something that might be of interest to other people who, maybe like me, had a program that they went through that wasn't accredited and now need to get their coaching hours and their mentor coaching in place in order to become accredited. So I got together with 6 other people and we asked around to find somebody who would be willing to work with us as a mentor coach. And in fact, we got 2 people, and we figured out what did we need to do to get over this what seemed to us like a hurdle, because we were really all in the same boat. Many of us had the number of hours, we had the training hours, we had the number of coaching hours, but it was this bit about the mentor coaching that was missing. So we got together as a group of 6. We recognized that we needed 7 hours of group coaching and 3 hours of individual coaching in terms of that mentor piece being fulfilled. So we met together for 2 sessions of 3.5 hours. That got us the 7 hours. And then we each submitted a tape to our mentor. In fact, we submitted 3 tapes. They reviewed them and gave us one-on-one feedback, which fulfilled the individual 3 hours of mentor coaching.
Wow. That's very innovative. It's interesting because I'm working with someone in India who has asked me if I would be their mentor coach, and it's like, no, because I know I'm going to charge way too much money. So I recommended that for India, and you know, it's like, so I recommended that they get together a group, and I'd be glad to do it on Skype. But I was wondering about the individual, and that's a perfect solution.
It is.
Wow.
It works very, very well. We
like that.
We kind of did 30-minute tapes with our coaching client, and what I thought was really neat was our mentor coaches also asked us 3 or 4 questions to help us review that coaching session ourselves, and we submitted that with the tape, and then they were able to evaluate how good we were at picking up, to what extent had we used certain core competencies or not used them, what else we might have done better. So it was a little reflective exercise as well.
I can't wait to get home and call India. Tell them I'd solve the other 3 hours. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, fantastic. So tell me, well, you're accredited now.
Yes.
Now you're accredited. Now you're president. How did you just join the organization?
Well, I always had been a member, but not an active member. You know, I was, that quiet member who paid her dues every year, but actually didn't really take part because the chapter itself wasn't very energetic at that time. But with this newly, this program that was ICF accredited, that was launched in Ireland, you then had these people coming out of it really wanting to have a vibrant chapter. So I became a more active member, and then I was asked would I be interested in going on the board in the position of vice president. And I thought about it for a little bit, but I said, it's just good timing for me. I would like to be more connected. I would like to be more involved. Of course, I had to go through the election process, and I got through, and vice president led to president. That's the road.
That's how it works. Well, their benefit for sure. Tell me some of the challenges. Like I know one of the challenges is that this is the only ICF chapter in Ireland. Yes,
that's correct.
And Ireland, it's not a huge country, but it's certainly not a New York City condensed either. So what do you do? How do you reach members all around the country?
Yeah, that is a challenge for us because we have, Dublin is the capital, and I suppose you have a cluster of people there, but there's also a cluster of people in the west of Ireland and in the south of Ireland and in the north of Ireland. And it is hard for them to stay connected, and it's hard for them to get to the events that we run. So what we've tried to promote are regional clusters, and in particular, what we've tried to promote are small groups, maybe 6 to 8 people, coming together, meeting maybe once every 2 months, and forming like kind of a peer support group for each other. And if they adhere to a certain format when they meet, they can actually get their continuing coach education units.
Oh, great.
So they can get their CCEUs through attending those, we call them peer support groups. So we have about 3 or 4 of them running in Ireland at the moment. And
that's a great idea. So now do you when you meet, are you a part of one of the cluster groups or no?
I'm not at the moment, no, just because I find my time is quite taken up. But I tell a lie, okay?
And she confessed it on television.
There's another phenomenon, which I don't know whether you're familiar with here. I'm sure you are, because everything starts in NYC or the United States before it gets to Ireland. We have things called meetups.
Yes, we have meetups too. Yes.
And one of our members has started a meetup.
Oh, how nice.
And that meetup is not just for ICF members, it's for anybody interested in coaching. So we've
Right.
actually got some new members that way as well. People who've come along but when they come along, they can come and they can listen, because we always have a little, we call it a mini lecture, mini little training session around a core competency, and then we have triad work. They can join in the triad work as a client, if they haven't got coach training, then we say only those with coach training can actually be the coach.
That's fair.
So it's not quite what I described in terms of the cluster, but it is another way of inviting people in, and it's actually quite a successful one.
Wow.
So I've attended that a number of times.
Great. So if you have meetings, let's say if you have meetings with your board, then it must be via phone, usually? Yeah.
Well, that's a good point, because we have a board member who is from Donegal, which is in the northwest of Ireland. And it would take about 4.5 hours to drive to a meeting, so that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's dedication.
We have somebody else in Galway, which is in the west of Ireland, and we have people dotted around. So we do have a number of Skype meetings, so virtual meetings, and then we have about 4 face-to-face meetings, and we make those meetings day-long meetings, 10 to 4. A time frame, because it has to be worth
while.
Exactly, for people to come all that way. Yes,
I know. I asked you what are some of the challenges, and of course, number one on your list was finances. So speak to us a little bit about that, because you come up with some very talk about the problem in Ireland right now, and why you think that everybody's in the financial crunch, which we can tell you. We have. You want to hear stories? We got them here too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that is true across the world at the moment. It is a worldwide recession, but I suppose in Ireland we had some extra challenges because our banks really ended up getting into a huge amount of debt, and the government had to bail them out. So on top of just the general economic slowdown, there is this extra debt that the country of Ireland has, which is to the tune of about 50 billion, which is for us a huge amount of money. So across Ireland there have been a lot of layoffs, and there are a lot of people in negative equity who are struggling just to keep their heads above water. So there's been a lot of unemployment, very high level of unemployment, close to 15% at one point. I think it has come down a little bit. And so the second point is, though, that a lot of ICF members are what we call sole traders. They're individuals who are running their own small business. So they find it hard to get clients, number one, because most of the corporations are not doing training anymore. That was the first thing to get off the list. That's the nice to have. It's not the critical to have in when people they have their backs against the wall. And likewise for individuals, even though they might need it, they don't actually have the money to come looking for it.
So not only did it affect your businesses, or it did affect you, and they laid people off. So the corporate clients are dwindling or have decreased, as have the individual clients, because it's a trickle-down effect.
Exactly.
We keep thinking it's a reverse, but it's a trickle-down effect. So what I particularly love, as you can tell, I've talked to Mary a couple of times already, but I love what you did to sort of address that problem during International Coaching Week. Can you give us an idea of some of the cool?
Yeah.
Because this, I think, is innovation at its best.
Well, I suppose that's one of my passions, I have to say, that I believe that coaching is such a powerful tool that can benefit people so greatly that it shouldn't just be limited to those who can afford it. So sometimes the people who most need it and who could most benefit from it are the people who, for whatever reason, either haven't heard about it, don't know its benefits, or can't afford it. So during International Coaching Week this year, my mission was to try to raise the awareness of coaching across a whole lot of sectors, and also reach out to those people who, through their own circumstances, might benefit from it. So particularly aimed at people who were unemployed or searching for work. So a number of things happened this week, during that week. One of our members held a day-long seminar for people and coached them in how to work with their CV, how to present themselves. So that was reaching out, and she didn't charge anything for it. It was a pro bono offering.
That was an amazing gift.
Yeah. Another of our members went into a center for unemployed people and offered a number of coaching sessions to people who might have turned up that particular day. Another of our members, very clever, she worked with a local journalist, offered that journalist coaching in return for getting a write-up in the paper.
How smart is that? Really, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it really did. And this was somebody who had never heard about coaching and was quite enamored of it at the end of of her session. And then I worked with some healthcare people who work in the area of disability. And again, that's a sector that would be so badly affected by the cutbacks. And I offered those people some access to coaching, and again on a pro bono basis. So it was a way to try to reach out to people who wouldn't normally have that opportunity.
I just think that's so innovative, and I like it for the give back. I think that's good, but I also love the brilliance of coaching a journalist so you can get your story. And I think, didn't you say this, you also did something with a hotel, and the room they coached employees of a hotel, and then the room was free. So that was pretty clever, very clever indeed. Well, believe it or not, we've got like 90 seconds left.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So I would say, what do you see as the future of Ireland? You're going to be there, not the entire country, coaching in Ireland. You're going to be president for the next 4 months, 5 months? And
that's correct, yes. I'm coming to the end of my term, which lasts until December. But I really want to do some extra things there too. I'm trying to move in the area of getting some webinars up and running. We haven't had them so far. We're trying to do some work with the UK chapter as well, because of course we're so close, even though there is a little bit of water in between, nonetheless we're relatively close.
You've mastered that, yes. You know how to get over there, yes.
And then, I'll stay connected. It's been a full-time year, I have to say, because not only, of course, are you running the local chapter, but you're connected into this wider ICF global community as well. And for instance, in October, I'm attending a European leaders meeting in Hungary.
Oh,
so
nice.
you get to do some fun things as well.
Yes, it's a commitment, but it's also an amazing journey. So I'm so glad that we both got to take it. Mary, I can only thank you a million times for coming and taking, as I said, time out of your schedule.
It's been fun.
Ireland is a great place, and you've let us know how coaching is working there. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.